The WWE Universe thrives on shock, chaos, and moments that make fans leap from their seats, clutching their heads in disbelief. But few moments in recent memory have generated the same raw reaction as the night Shayna Baszler unleashed a brutal attack on her former friend and training partner, Ronda Rousey, leaving the once baddest woman on the planet in tears. It was not just a storyline twist, it was the collision of friendship, betrayal, and raw emotion wrapped inside the squared circle. For years, fans had debated whether the four horsewomen of MMA would dominate WWE together or turn against each other. On this night, those debates ended because Shayna Baszler made a statement that the world could never ignore. From the very beginning, Ronda Rousey's WWE journey was extraordinary. She arrived not as an underdog, but as a global star, an Olympic judoka and UFC Hall of Famer who had already etched her name in combat sports history. WWE built her debut as one of the most iconic crossovers in professional wrestling history, and Rousey delivered. She quickly won titles, headlined pay-per-views, and even main-evented WrestleMania. Yet behind the spotlight, one figure stood quietly, always watching, waiting, and supporting: Shayna Baszler. The Queen of Spades was not only Rousey's close friend, but her MMA ally, a woman who walked the hard road through the independent wrestling scene before carving her own reputation in NXT. The chemistry between them was undeniable. When Shayna finally made her mark on WWE's main roster, fans assumed the two would be an unstoppable force, and for a time, that illusion seemed real. Their bond felt unbreakable, forged in blood, sweat, and years of MMA training. But WWE is not a place where friendships last forever. Rivalries, betrayals, and shocking moments are the lifeblood of the business. And eventually, the friendship between Rousey and Baszler became the stage for one of the most emotional and brutal betrayals in women's wrestling history. The night began like any other. Ronda Rousey was in the ring, cutting a fiery promo about dominance, respect, and her place in WWE history. The fans were divided. Some cheered her achievements, others booed her arrogance. As she paced the ring, microphone in hand, nobody in the arena expected what was about to happen. Out of nowhere, Shayna Baszler's music hit, and the Queen of Spades marched to the ring with her trademark cold stare. The tension in the air was electric. Two former allies, now standing face-to-face under the bright lights of WWE. At first, it seemed like a confrontation built on tough love, Baszler warning Rousey that her arrogance was clouding her judgment, that she was losing sight of the fighter she used to be. Rousey smirked, dismissed the warning, and turned her back. That was the last mistake she would make that night. In an instant, Baszler struck. She pounced on Rousey with the ruthlessness of a predator, taking her former friend to the mat with a series of devastating strikes. The arena erupted in shock. Fans gasped, children screamed, and even the commentators were at a loss for words. Shayna Baszler had turned on the one person everyone thought she would always protect. The Queen of Spades didn't just attack. She dismantled Ronda Rousey, targeting her arm with surgical precision. Every stomp, every twist, every joint manipulation was deliberate. This wasn't a random assault. It was a calculated dismantling. Rousey cried out in agony, her face etched with pain, as her longtime friend broke her down physically and emotionally. And then it happened. The moment nobody thought possible. Tears streamed down Ronda Rousey's face. The baddest woman on the planet, the fighter who once made entire divisions in UFC tremble, was left broken and vulnerable in front of millions. For Shayna, this was more than just an attack. It was a declaration of independence, a way of telling the world that she was no longer standing in anyone's shadow. For too long, fans and critics alike had seen Baszler as Ronda's friend, a sidekick to the global superstar. But that night, Shayna Baszler proved she was nobody's sidekick. She was a predator in her own right, capable of shocking the entire WWE Universe with a single act of betrayal. The fallout was immediate. Social media exploded. With hashtags like #RondaCrying and #BaszlerBetrayal trending worldwide. Fans debated endlessly. Was it real? Was the emotion genuine? The truth was clear. Whether scripted or spontaneous, the sight of Ronda Rousey in tears struck a chord that few WWE moments ever had. It humanized her. It showed vulnerability in a woman who had built her entire brand on being untouchable. And it elevated Shayna Baszler into the spotlight she had long deserved. The betrayal cut deep because it was rooted in reality. Rousey and Baszler were not just storyline partners, they were real-life friends who had trained together, traveled together, and built careers side by side. That authenticity gave the attack a level of raw emotion that fans could feel through their screens. WWE thrives on blurring the lines between reality and performance, and in this case, those lines vanished. The pain in Rousey's face was not just about the physical attack, it was about the heartbreak of losing someone she trusted. From a career perspective, this moment was monumental for both women. For Ronda Rousey, it marked the beginning of a new chapter, one where she was forced to face weakness, doubt, and betrayal in ways she had never experienced before. For Shayna Baszler, it was the defining moment of her WWE career. No longer overshadowed, no longer living in someone else's legacy, Shayna stepped into her own as a top-tier villain in the women's division. The attack also set the stage for one of the most anticipated rivalries in WWE history. Fans who had once dreamed of Rousey and Baszler as tag champions now found themselves equally invested in seeing them tear each other apart. Pay-per-views loomed, with the promise of brutal matches filled with personal animosity. Every promo, every stare-down, every confrontation carried the weight of their shared history. This wasn't just another storyline, it was a war between two warriors who knew each other better than anyone else. As weeks passed, WWE leaned into the narrative. Rousey, with her arm in a sling, delivered emotional promos about betrayal, trust, and vengeance. She admitted the pain Shayna caused wasn't just physical, it was emotional, a scar that cut deeper than any broken bone. Shayna, on the other hand, reveled in her newfound dominance, coldly declaring that she had freed herself from Ronda's shadow. She claimed she was the real fighter, the real threat, and the true heir to dominance in WWE. The intensity of this feud reignited fan interest in the women's division. For too long, critics had argued that WWE's booking failed to capture the fire and realism of women's MMA stars. But this rivalry shattered that perception. It was real, it was raw, and it was shocking. Every encounter between Rousey and Baszler felt unpredictable, filled with genuine tension. Fans knew they weren't just watching a match. They were watching the breakdown of a friendship that had once seemed unbreakable. Perhaps the most powerful image of all was Ronda Rousey's tears. In a business built on larger-than-life personas and invincible characters, vulnerability is rare. By showing that vulnerability, whether intentional or not, Rousey created one of the most human and relatable moments of her WWE career. It reminded fans that even the strongest warriors can break, and it reminded WWE audiences why they love this business. It's not just about victories and titles, but about the emotional roller coasters that leave us breathless. Years from now, when fans look back on Ronda Rousey's WWE career, they won't just remember her championship victories or her historic WrestleMania main event. They will remember the night Shayna Baszler betrayed her, broke her down, and left her in tears. They will remember the night friendship turned into war. They will remember the shocking attack that changed the course of both women's careers forever. The legacy of this betrayal continues to echo through WWE. Shayna Baszler became a force, carving her place among the most dangerous women in wrestling. Ronda Rousey, meanwhile, used the pain of that moment to evolve, to rebuild, and to show the world a different side of herself. Together, they created a moment that WWE fans will never forget. A moment that was shocking, heartbreaking, and unforgettable. In the end, Shayna Baszler's brutal attack did more than leave Ronda Rousey in tears. It left the entire WWE Universe talking, debating, and remembering. And that is the true power of professional wrestling, to create moments so shocking, so emotional, that they live forever in the hearts and minds of fans.